And how's everyone doing this evening on this rainy here in Mississippi? It's a rainy night for the Super Bowl. It looks like it's pretty gorgeous there in Houston. So, Patriots and the Atlanta Falcons, we'll see who wins. I actually, myself, would like to see the Falcons win because they deserve a win. They've worked hard this year. So it is February 5th, 2017. And it's been a great week. Once again, Trump's in overdrive. So I'm going to get into some of the news globally and nationally here. And then tonight we're going to be getting into something you guys may not be familiar with, but it's called Metatron's Cube, or Tree of Life, the Flower of Life, the Sephra, which is Hebrew. And we're going to talk about what all that actually means and how it pertains to us and achieving that, as we've heard so much, the ascension. And it basically has to do with sacred geometry, which is actually how we got here in the first place, as to become human beings. When the etherical became matter or flesh. Okay, so I guess I'll start off talking about Pizzagate. There was a couple of pretty significant arrests in sting operations, I guess we could call them that, this past week. But from what I hear, that's not the biggie yet. The biggie is yet to come tomorrow or Tuesday. And boy, I can't wait. I got my popcorn ready. How about you guys? We'll get into that in a second. So in Canada, they had, what was it? I may get these turned around, but bear with me, because I'm just doing off a recall here in my mind. There's been so much going on. As you can see, I've been posting a lot on Facebook. In Canada, they arrested, I think it was either 378 or 400 and some people. And, no, I'm sorry. There was 378. There were 400 children that were rescued up in Canada. And in that group of people that were arrested, this is what's very disturbing to me, but I'm sure that we're going to be disturbed by a lot of things that are about to come forward now and see the light of day, because they've been buried deep and dark. There was 40 school teachers, police officials, priests, pastors. Of course, priest part doesn't surprise me, as I'm sure it don't you. But school teachers and stuff, and police, well, police now they're corrupt too. Not all, but that doesn't surprise me to find out within it, because their network, as I have grown to call them, is their web is deep. It truly is. And so if the FBI is really going to do what we're hearing, and I'm going to read the article to you in a minute. Now, there was another bus made in California a few days ago, and that yielded some children that they rescued, and that was more of child pornography. But I'm sure the pedophilia and all that went right along with it, because that's just the sick nature of these vile creatures. I have a real problem calling them human beings, because I just do not understand, nor can I, or will I ever understand what you absolutely could find that is a sexual arousal to an adult to do these despicable things to a small child. But Podesta, with all of his communications back and forth in the Clinton Foundation, seems that was just the catalyst that they were needing. They've been sitting on a lot of this information for a long time, but they just couldn't tie it in. But anyway, here's how the story goes. And let's pray tonight, folks. I know we're busy watching the Super Bowl and, all of the festivities around that. But let's pray tonight that this actually does come to fruition in the next day or two. because it'll be a start for all of us in our community. And you know what I mean by our community, our currency community. And what we've been looking for, you know, a global changing of the guard, if you will, for the light and not for the dark. Because it's gotten pretty dark out here, to tell you. So, loving or hating, Trump is definitely making waves, and he's making a lot of changes. We'll get into that. Anyway, there's an FBI whistleblower that has confirmed that 30 politicians and 40 other individuals, it should be interesting to see who they are to be arrested in Washington, D.C. and New York City in connection with the Pizzagate pedophile ring. And Weiner is, I hear he's singing. In other words, he's trying to make a deal to save his own skin. Can't say it's a blame him. I certainly hope they've got some real protection around him, because we all know in the Clinton organization, the body count is stacking up real high. Okay? In fact, by the way, an addendum to that, the young man who was one of the operational people there for the Clinton Foundation, he's been missing now for like 86 days. That's when Chelsea started saying something was going wrong, and this young man, I think, had just been hired. And now he's been missing. No one knows hide nor hair of him. Okay? I don't know what happened to him. He's gone. I think we can probably guess what happened, can't we? Mm-hmm. Anyway, there are more suspects that are under investigation, and they say that this investigation is branching out in really unexpected directions. This insider at the FBI claims that they've just finished, and that was in relationship to 3 p.m. February 2nd, so it's been 3 days ago, submitting paperwork to the Department of Justice in preparation for the Pizzagate arrests, which will begin as soon as Jeff Sessions is confirmed as Attorney General. Well, we know that Jeff, I believe, has been confirmed now. I think that was on Friday. So, now you understand why they were trying to hold that up, don't you? Well, Mr. Sessions has been briefed on this far-reaching investigation and all of that evidence that they have 3 weeks ago. And the investigators say that they've held these files on some of these high-ranking politicians for years, and they just couldn't find a concrete lead until November of 2016. That's when all this broke loose with Huma, Hillary, and Weiner and all them, and of course Podesta. And that's when they started monitoring 3 suspects after they allegedly they were caught using that coded language, that's Podesta and them, on an internet forum that created by the FBI to trap these pedophiles. Oh boy. Anyway, the police Pizzagate investigation has since branched out from there. And so eventually they uncovered this really deep web of crime that thrives in Washington's D.C. corridors of power. We already know that, folks. And the insider said, I have never been involved in an investigation that kept branching out in so many unexpected directions. And according to this anonymous insider, and I don't blame him for remaining anonymous, information was finally submitted from the FBI to the Department of Justice on the 2nd at 3 p.m. Mr. Sessions was briefed, and once he assumes his position, arrest warrants will be signed and arrests will be made. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. This is also why the Democratic Party in D.C. has been fighting the Sessions vote. They're in a state of panic. I don't know how long they thought they could keep this from happening. And furthermore, they say that this is going to start Monday or Tuesday of this next week. And you'll begin to start seeing arrests of these individuals. And over 30 of these politicians, and many of them are household names. And then there's over 40 other individuals throughout D.C., Virginia, and also a handful in New York City. And some of them may commit suicide, off themselves, however you want to look at it, over this weekend. I haven't heard any stories about that. Have you? But I guess we'll see. And if they do, then you'll know that they're involved in some kind of manner in this. The child pedophilia ring, sex trafficking arrest in California was not related. At least there's not evidence yet to suggest that. Maybe it may be wrong, and as people, as they begin to talk and make deals on the matter, they might find that some of those names of people that they arrested out there in California, perhaps even in Canada, are tied into this network. So although the insider refused to reveal all the names on the list of those that are going to be arrested by the FBI, they did reveal that Democrat, I love this one, and U.S. Senator Chuck Schumann was one of the high-profile names that will be arrested, as well as Senator Tim Kaine and former Attorney General of Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal. And Senator Jeff Sessions should have his role as Attorney General confirmed next after he survived his first test floor on Thursday, despite almost every Democrat in the chamber voting against Mr. Sessions. I wonder why. I'm going to tell you why. These Democrat leaders said that their vote wasn't a statement on Sessions, but rather the policies they feared he'd pursue at the Justice Department. Do you want to know why? Because they know that Sessions is going to come, will be bringing charges against old Hillary. And what they don't know is that's already going to happen because President Trump here a couple of days ago told Trey Gowdy and I can't think that Chavez, probably didn't pronounce that correctly. He told both of them to start digging up all the dirt on Hillary again and go after her with everything that they got. You know, that was a promise that Trump made to us, wasn't it, in one of his speeches that he made when he was out on the campaign trail. And he told Hillary, you're a criminal and you need to be in jail. He told her that. Right up there when they were debating each other. Well, he's making good on his word just like he is everything else, too. And then, normally political parties don't break rank with each other, but it would seem that, what's his name? John McCain has broke ranks with the Republicans. And you know what? Well, because him and some others have been being paid off by Soros. Okay? Oh, yeah. So Soros seems to have his hands in just about everything that is anti-peace and anti-government. Wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to find the article here. I'm looking for it right now. While I'm looking, I also wanted to let you guys know that I'm sure you guys know who Ben Swann is. And, he's had a pretty big voice in bringing out a lot of things that most reporters wouldn't bring out, and he did. Well, he put out on his website, and he tweeted that he was going dark. And the last show that he did, here, I guess it was last week, he spoke about Pizzagate. And we really don't know what's happened to him, okay? We'll say prayers for him and his family. Because we know this is very dangerous when you're exposing these people, okay? We know that. Well, let me see if I can find. Yeah. I don't, And by the way, the Pentagon, as outlined, they're putting a freezing fire on a lot of things and all that. But it's not for civilian jobs on the military basis. It's just a military freeze right now. And Paul Ryan also announced this past week, a few days ago, that Trump will have the funding to build his wall because it's already been appropriated in Congress some years back. Yeah. Yep. And we're going to talk here in just a minute about the Schumann's resonance. That has jumped all the way up to 36 plus and what that's doing for a lot of people, and myself included. Here's a new report that exposes 6 top Republicans on George Soros' payroll. Guess who's being paid to stop Trump? Yep, you guessed it. Soros is behind it. But now Ben Fulford swears on down that Soros is dead, like we talked last Sunday. You have the Rothschild cabal using the Soros Foundation to still promote their agendas. Okay? But there's a nonprofit, nonpartisan research group based in Washington, D.C. that tracks the effects of money and lobbying on elections and public policy, and they revealed that while George Soros is responsible for funding Democrats and progressive causes, he's also bankrolled Senator John McCain and a small but select group of other Republicans. Unsurprisingly, all the names revealed to receive funding from George Soros have a track record of opposition to Mr. Trump. Those would be, I don't know, this is going to be shocking. Probably not to you guys. You're pretty well informed. But anyway, Senator John McCain, House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senator Marco Rubio, Governor John Kasich, Senator Lindsey Graham, and Representative Carlos Curbelo. Mm-hmm. And, you know, John McCain has been especially critical of them. But there's a whole list of them over here. Jeb Bush is taking money. Charlie Crist. Patty Murray from Washington State. They've all taken money from Mr. Soros. Some of them didn't cost much to buy them either. You see, this Dan Donovan, who is a Republican out of New York at the House, was $300. Hey, guess that you signed your allegiance to who you were going to honor. Huh. Yeah. Anyway, par for the course, politics, guys. That's what I've told you guys for a long time. It is one party with 2 faces. Democrats and Republicans, they're all the same party. They just have different faces. That's all. And then I'm going to have to scroll down here. I have so many favorites. It takes me a minute to get to this stuff. And I apologize for that. But I have so much stuff pulled up here for what we're going to talk about tonight that I can get it all up there at once. And Trump, I guess the Supreme Court overnight ruled that was unconstitutional, so now there's going to be a legal challenge to Trump's 90-day suspension on immigration laws, the ban he put on it. And he's pretty upset about that, so he's telling all of the customs people to really scrutinize people coming in until they can put something together to challenge this judge to get it overthrown to honor this 90-day moratorium on immigration. And, you know, quite frankly, I'm not a religious person. I hate organized religion. I don't care what name or flavor you want to call it. That's me. And I have my reasons. Because I know that religion has been used to control humanity. And they have brainwashed us. It's in our DNA, particularly the black population. Because that was during the time when Christianity was introduced to them that they began to look at that as their white savior, the white Jesus. And in the Bible it talks about him having white woolen like a sheep's hair, and he had bronze skin. Does not describe a white person to me. But I digress. Anyway. I want to give you some interesting facts that I have to be honest, I didn't even know. But did you guys know that Washington, D.C. was once called Rome? Yeah. Yep, the world we live in is being pulled down, the veil is, of this illusion. And one way that we're going to explain this is how history, places, people, and things have been changed from their original meanings in order to conceal them from the public over the years. And see, all this stuff is starting to come forward now. And one such place happens to be built on 7 hills. Now, you guys are saying, oh, yeah, it's the Vatican. And it's the capital. No, not of the Vatican, but of the United States of America. Washington, D.C. was built on 7 hills. Not many people are aware of the fact that before the city got its current name of Washington, D.C., the capital was simply named after that other city on 7 hills, which is Rome. Yes, that capital that holds our Senate with the Roman eagle and the Roman Sophis to this current day is, in fact, an extension of what once was thought of as has fallen, the Roman Empire, but it didn't. Now, I'm going to stop here for a minute and ask yourselves, haven't you ever wondered why when you drive by all these government buildings and you drive by all these banks, they have Roman architecture out front. They have columns, pillars, and stuff. They look like you're stepping back in time with some movie set, and it looks like ancient Rome. Now you're going to know why. So what this means in simple terms is that the Roman Empire did in fact fall in 476 A.D. when Odoacer, the barbarian Germanic general, deposed Romulus Augustulus. But that doesn't mean that Rome completely died in this 5th century takeover. And often when one empire falls, the intelligent new conquering king, an empire just doesn't throw the old Roman baby out with the old bathwater or destroys the entire old Roman system. In order to painstakingly create a new Anglo-Saxon one, no, they just simply take over. Sometimes it's as easy as taking the crown off of a decapitated king or a royal head, as they say. And they even make clever family alliances in old empires with their old enemies to further the goals of the newly formed empire. This is what the Zionist Ashkenazis have been doing for thousands of years. They make alliances. This is how they wind up getting to the royal bloodlines, through breeding. Okay? It's what's going on over in Saudi Arabia right now to this day. Okay? And it's a simple change of thrones. And the old aristocracy is replaced or modified. Their plans change. New blood alliances form. New Bibles are written to honor these alliances. New laws are set in the stone of Scone, or the stone of destiny. And names allegorically changed, places cleverly hidden, and history intelligently altered. So this may come as a shock to many people that are not educated on the history of the world or the founding of America, for that matter. But the shock of our ignorant belief system is exactly what happens during the apocalypse. These veils that are being torn down to expose uncomfortable truths and a light that may blind those who do not want to see the light, but you're going to have to. Because if this is you, you may want to click the back button on your internet browser button and get out of here. At the very least, put a pair of sunglasses on. Because this light of truth is so bright, you've got to wear sheeple shades. Now, what's really amazing is that this information can easily be found on Wikipedia. But the old cliche comes back, what do you do when you don't know what you don't know? So, Rome, Maryland, was the original name of the community within Prince George's County, Maryland, which would eventually become Washington, District of Columbia. Specifically, Rome was the original community name of Capitol Hill, upon which the United States Capitol building sits today. In 1663, the property that would become the Capitol site was inscribed in the Maryland property records as Rome. Its owner, a man named, are you ready for this? Francis Pope. You heard that correct. The owner of this property, the man's name was Francis Pope. Boy, the irony of that. The southern boundary of this property was shaped by a river named for the river that runs through Rome, Italy, the Tiber, or Tiber, some pronounce it. The community was part of the 10-mile square tract of land which would become the American capital, Washington, D.C. And its owner, Daniel Carroll, transferred the community to the federal government after the amendment to the United States Constitution sanctioning the building of the new United States capital city was ratified. Daniel Carroll was the chairman of a three-man commission appointed by President George Washington to find a suitable location for the capital city, a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Daniel Carroll was a Roman Catholic, educated by Jesuits in Maryland and France. His brother John Carroll became the first Catholic bishop in America. So the Vatican, that's why the Pope comes here. And so the first cardinal bishop in America presided over the See, and it's not S-E-A, it's S-E-E, of Baltimore, which included Washington, D.C. John Carroll also founded Georgetown University, which is a Jesuit college. So now you have the history. And as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story. So, the fact that Washington was once called Rome was also revealed in the most recent blockbuster book and upcoming movie by Dan Brown called The Lost Symbol. So this revelation is going to become common knowledge in the coming years. Okay? And, you know, Abbott Costello did a classic exchange that really sums up our history. The fall and rise of empires and also the brotherhood over the last few thousand years. Yeah. And remember, we've always talked about that whoever wins gets to write his story. Doesn't matter if it's true. And it's all about problem, reaction, solution. And it's about agendas, and we still have the power elites that are trying to broker agendas right now. You have Trump, who's saying that he's getting rid of Frank Dodd Act because it's not conducive to just business and to people here in the U.S. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but Ms. Yellen got a very scathing letter from a gentleman in the Finance Committee. Basically what that letter says, I only read it once, so I'm just kind of doing recall here. But basically what it's putting her on notice that they've been monitoring her and her contacts, and she's still very much involved with foreign banking entities. And she does not have the authority to be talking to other nations' banking facilities. And so she was put on notice by the Trump administration to cease and desist. And this is why they're going to take, they're not going to take all of Frank Dodd, but, and then, here's something I found really interesting when I was reading an article earlier this afternoon. They said the Frank Dodd Act was actually supposed to have transparency with the oil companies and gas companies and all this kind of stuff. That's not what you and I were told, was it? No, it was supposed to be transparency of the banks. According to this article I read, it wasn't about the banks. It was about the oil industry. And, you know, Trump is really determined to get us energy free from the Middle East and other oil-producing nations that, shall we say, are not so friendly to us, rather hostile. And Venezuela and all them. We do have enough oil here, but my contention here is that I believe that we have enough technology. And I realize it takes a minute to switch over. I do know that. But with all of what we have that is at our disposal here, why do we have to continue to use oil? Now, I know it's a good thing, like we talked last Sunday, that they're going to be using American steel, plus it's way safer than the Chinese and others that they were using. But still, it still is, it leaves its mark on the environment, and this fracking absolutely has to stop. It really does. We'll reach in Mahala's astrology report for the month of February. It's encouraging. February is here already with the feeling of spring in the air. At least it feels that way here in the Pacific Northwest. It's been quite a winter for many people, with an abundance of snow here on the West Coast. In fact, I think it set some records. I look forward to the early flowers starting to come up and the dry, sunny weather we usually have here in February. I also look forward to Valentine's Day. I think we should make this into a major holiday and add unconditional love to this celebration. What could be a better holiday for the age of Aquarius? I agree with you. Mahela. Mars just moved into Aries, and the name of the game is more chaos until Mars moves into Taurus on March 9th. Mars, of course, rules anger, violence, and war. And I just heard we have a challenge with Iran. Yes, Trump spoke about that with this little mini interview with O'Reilly this evening on Fox before the game. On the positive side, it rules energy, and you have the choice of how you'd like to manifest this energy in your life. The word anger adds up to 9, and the word love also adds up to 9. So take your pick. 9's completion. We are coming into that time. This is a good time to go inward and see if you still have anger in your subconscious mind. If so, it's a good time to let it all go. And the best way to get through this turbulent time period is to have love in your heart and look at the events like a movie that's being played out on the world scene. Don't take it so personal. Don't get involved in the mix of it like these people that are out here rioting and protesting and stuff. They're making fools of themselves. Not to mention the fact I don't know what the legal ramifications are going to be of that. I saw a professor out there at Berkeley. My God, she'd make a sailor embarrassed. The F-bombs that were coming out of her mouth. Whoa. And talking about Nazis, this, and she was screaming and yelling at the police. Whew. Yeah. Anyway, this is all a hologram, and it's going to change when the time is right, and people have learned what they need to know with this experience. We're waking up out of a long, lying-induced slumber here, and it's going to be a shocker, most definitely. Wait till these pedophilia arrests begin. That's going to rock a whole lot of people's worlds. You listeners, I doubt it, because you're informed. But the rest of the people out here, you know who I'm talking about, you got friends, family, acquaintances and stuff, don't know any of this. None of it. This is going to be a serious shock to the psyche for these people. It's because they put on a suit and they walk the halls of Congress does not make them upstanding people. Because we know politicians, to be upstanding doesn't go, that's like oil and water. But it appears we've gone back in time to when women had no power. Do we want to go back to that period in time? Haven't we worked hard enough to finally become equal with men, with equal pay for a job well done, and to have control over our bodies? And I'm so happy to see so many people peacefully demonstrating. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you there because I haven't seen people peacefully disagreeing. Anyway, the planets say that it is time to be free. Uranus is in the fire sign. And Aries, along with Mars and Saturn, is in the fire sign Sagittarius. Uranus rules revolutions and new energy. And Saturn rules the old. And maybe we need to let go of the old and bring in the new. Trump seems to be doing a pretty good job of tearing down the structures of our government. The old has to go down before the new can come in. Maybe this whole mess will turn out differently than most people think it's going to. And that we can hope for. We need to pray. Saturn controls the matrix or hologram. Saturn only controls Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the Earth. Uranus is that wild card, and it does not believe in the matrix. Neptune is the planet of delusion or deception. And Pluto is the transformer. So you got Uranus, a planet that rules life, and it's working on bringing in freedom by causing the energy of revolution and awakening to be on Earth at this time. See, Uranus has always been the wild card in this, and has been predicted for decades that when we reach this point here, since we're also now officially in the age of Aquarius, too. And so now that we're in Aquarius, then you have Uranus coming in, turning everything upside down. It's the planet. It doesn't have straight energies coming in. They're sideways. They're slanting. And so they're causing these chaotic energies to stir the pot, if you will, to get everybody to really thinking that you got to get out of your comfort zone now. You got to get out of your chair. And you got to really put that inner mind, that inner voice to work. And that's why we always say, go within. But if we focus our minds on bringing freedom, then we can watch this drama from an observation point rather than being caught right up in the middle of it. And we can help the world move through this chaos a lot better and faster. That's for sure. But remember, we're manifesting the 20th chapter of Revelations, where the controllers all go down, and then we manifest a whole new reality, and that's called the new earth, the new heaven and earth. Negativity has a tendency to destroy itself. So maybe the really dark ones will self-destruct. Well, I hope we can get that lucky. Or maybe there will be divine intervention. I'll take either one. Maybe self-destruct, or that could be the divine intervention. Either one's cool with me. Just get off our planet. The earth changes are getting stronger and stronger, and our second sun nemesis is here. And how is that going to affect us? And that's what we're going to talk about here in a minute. This is why Nemesis, Planet X, Nibiru, Wormwood, whatever you want to call it, it's coming down in an ecliptical orbit around our solar system and headed back out. Okay? This has been going on for some time, since like 2003. All these energies. And of course, that's because we moved into Aquarius. What is Aquarius? It's the water bearer. Okay? This is why you see a theme of water everywhere. We got flooding that's been going on for some time now. It's a water bearer. It's bringing in the water to cleanse the earth. So there's also this theory that that 1/3 of the earth will be leaving when the lower timeline earth splits off from the higher timeline earth. So these dark ones are going to automatically exist on this lower timeline, unless they self-destruct, of course. And the people with love in their hearts are going to be on that higher timeline earth. And this is, in the Bible, in Revelation, it speaks of the separating of the wheat from the chaff. Okay, the chaff being the negative, and the wheat being the fruit. Okay? And she says that she's thought a lot about the splitting earth theory, and it explains a lot. If the timeline's separated, it's kind of like when a person dies and leaves his or her physical body to go to a higher reality. In this case, the earth will symbolically die, and her higher self will be in this higher frequency where love and peace are going to be the norm rather than the abnormal. And I think this theory is a real possibility. Although, who knows? But we'll see how it turns out. We hope that this is right. And and I do know that we're caught in a dark matrix right now. And it's hard to see the light unless we change our perception of life, literally. Now let's go back to the planets. There's 2 eclipses in February. The first one is a full moon eclipse on February 10th. That's coming right around the corner. And that's going to be at 4:33 Pacific Standard Time, PM, at 22 degrees Leo. And the meaning of 22 degrees Leo is like a carrier pigeon fulfilling its mission of delivering the message that it was meant to carry. So it's interesting because we're moving into the year of the fire rooster in the Chinese astrology, because, you know, the Chinese are just finishing up their New Year celebration today. And this reminds me of Donald Trump, how he likes to be the boss and do exactly what he wants to do. Oh, by the way, have you guys heard this new asinine theory that some talking head nut on Fox is talking about? They said Donald Trump can't read. That's why he don't want nobody bringing him anything to read. I cannot believe that, but okay. Oh, yeah, he had all of his reasons why he believed that. You know, he had it all lined up. Anyway. The sun will be on 22 degrees Aquarius in this eclipse chart, and this degree means the warmth of understanding which comes to those who are open to new possibilities. And then we have the asteroid Vesta, the goddess of the eternal flame. It's in the sign of Cancer, and it's been making a square aspect to Uranus. which is, again, the revolutionary planet. And then we have Cancer, which is an emotional sign. So this means that there's been an abundance of emotional energy in effect for a while. Well, we can definitely say that, huh? And actually, there's been all kinds of emotional energy floating around since Trump's inauguration. Yeah, emotion has been running pretty high since January 20th. Yeah. This energy is going to increase as we move into the time of this upcoming full moon and continue up until Mars, Uranus, and Aries are conjunct in Aries, opposing Jupiter in late February. So, shoot, we still got like another 3 weeks of all this dissension and protests and all this kind of stuff and all this backstabbing up there in Washington, D.C., man. We must be the laughing stock of the world right now if it wasn't so serious that we're a global power. I keep telling people, back off and let Trump do what he's going to do. There is an oversight group watching him. He knows what he's got to do to get his amnesty. Don't you forget that. Don't forget that. So anyway, we're about to start a full-blown revolution in the United States. Actually, it started. People are demonstrating all over the world. It's not just here. And really, this is good because it shows us that we're all becoming united. We're not happy with the status quo. We're not happy with the control structure of this cabal anymore. And they know. Believe me, they know. And they're terrified. That's why they're doing some of these dumb things they're doing. Like, what? So you're going to hold up the appointment of Sessions? Like, how long do you think you can hold that up? Because you don't want the arrest of Hillary and Pizzagate and all this stuff to move forward. Hey, guys, you were putting on notice last year. You know? Hey, what's that old saying? If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Just think about what you've done to these children, the ones you didn't murder, and drink their blood and eat their organs and stuff. I'm sorry to be graphic tonight, people, but that's the truth. Okay? These are some sick creatures. Okay? That's what they did. But you think about all these young children, then some that were lucky enough to live through it, that have grown up are now teenagers and young adults, and some are even older. That the damage is done to their life forever. So go do your time. Or take yourself on out, whichever. If you don't want to go to prison, then I guess you know what you're going to do. So what are the effects of negative thoughts? See, here's the thing. The moment a negative thought enters our mind, the body releases acid, and our auras decrease, our resistance power decreases, your system's functions are affected, your heartbeat increases, your blood pressure increases, and then it starts producing these unwanted hormones. They get released. So you want to feel all those effects? Well, then we need to start thinking about more positive thoughts. And just be grateful for what we have. And bless each day as we wake up, because that's a blessing to wake up for another day. And I'm so happy to be here at this time to witness all of this. And then we need to be kind to ourselves and everyone else around us. So right now, guys, it's very important to stay positive with everything that's going on in the world. So be it. And now we're going to get into what she was alluding to here with these, talking about, being positive and all this kind of stuff, because we've got some serious energies coming in here. That's for sure. And it's, I guess you've probably seen your friends and family up early in the morning at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning posting on Facebook and stuff. That's pretty much all of us. I felt an energy wave come through here about 8 o'clock last night that literally made me sick to my stomach. And then I got a bad headache. And I've been going to bed at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night. But then I'm back up by 1 or 2, and I can't go back to sleep. Maybe 4 or 5. You guys are doing it out here too. I'm not the only one. There are many people reporting this. This is all of these energies coming in. Because, see, the normal Schumann's resonance is about, 7.5, I think? I could be off there a little bit. but I think it's about 7.5 is normal. And we have been moving upwards into it's 7.83. Yeah, that's the usual. And it's been sliding all the way up into the 15 to 25 level. Right? On January 31st this year, for the first time in recorded history, the Schumann resonance reached frequencies of 36 plus. That's a big deal. Seriously, folks. In 2014, it was considered an anomaly for the frequency to have risen from its usual 7.83 frequency to somewhere in the 15 to 25 level. Okay? And now it's spiking at well over 30 for the past 3-4 days. Okay? Seriously. And so it's long been suspected that human consciousness can impact the magnetic field and create disturbances in it, particularly during moments of high anxiety, tension, or passion, for that matter. And so as human beings, we have extraordinary potentials that we've hardly begun to study, much less understand. And these creative gifts and intuitions that we have and these talents that are unpredictable or emergent may become stabilized in generations to come. But hopefully, we can learn to understand both our emergence from an essentially electromagnetic environment and facilitate our potential for healing and growth and non-local communication, meaning clairvoyance, clairaudiency, and this kind of thing. I know a lot of us, including myself, are beginning to experience this. These senses are, shall we say, coming online now more than they used to be. And many, many, many people have been reporting that they feel this sense of time speeding up. And so could the increase in these frequencies have something to do with this? All right? And I'm going to say yes. I am. And then there's a global consciousness project, and this seems to correlate to the increase of electromagnetic frequencies in these past 4 days. But for many years, this resonant frequency has hovered at a steady 7.83 hertz with only slight variations. And then, like I said, in June 2014, that changed. And the monitors at the Russian Space Observing System showed a sudden spike in activity at around 8.5. Well, since then, they've recorded days where the Schumann accelerated as fast as 16.5 hertz. Right? And at first they thought their equipment was malfunctioning, but they later learned that the data was accurate. And everyone was asking, what's causing this intermittent spiking activity? Well, it's coming from the sun, but it's coming from our second sun, too, our binary. Okay? So is the Earth's frequency speeding up? Since the Schumann frequency is said to be in tune with the human brain to alpha and theta state, this acceleration just may be why it feels like time is sped up and events and changes in our lives are happening more rapidly. It's like you get up on Monday and all of a sudden it's Friday. It's like, dang, where did that week go? Okay? Time is speeding up. Ian Lundgren, he's passed on now. He died from cancer. But he was an expert on the Mayan calendar, the long count. And that's what he talked about for many years and did a lot of lectures and stuff. And he said when we got to this period of time, time was going to speed up. And I read here a while back where actually now time is speeding up to the point where what felt like 24 hours before is now beginning to feel like 16, 17 hours. That's going to compress. And as Greg Braden says, we're going to reach that unity or 0 point. Okay? And then, I don't know, maybe time doesn't exist when we finally reach that point. And that's when you know, folks, we're in 5D. Okay? You'll instantly manifest what you think. So be careful what you think. Right now we got training wheels on, and I would suggest we start practicing riding our little training wheel thought processes, if you will. So these emerging resonances naturally correlate to human brainwave activity. So this means that we're changing. And it looks like these accelerated frequencies might be telling us about human evolutionary change. Hey, that means it's changing our DNA too, folks. Okay? So when you look at these, and a 7.83 hertz frequency is an alpha theta state, relaxed yet dreamy, sort of a neutral, idling state, waiting for something to happen. So then when you get to an 8.5 up to a 16.5 frequency, then we move out of theta range into more of a full, calmer alpha state with faster, more alert beta frequencies starting to appear. And this correlates with slowly waking up cognitively. So since the Schumann resonance has had all of a sudden has had this spike between 12 to 16, this is very interesting because it's called sensory motor rhythm frequency, or SMR. That's a neurofeedback. And it's the ideal state of awakened calm, and our thought processes are clearer and they're more focused, yet we're still in the flow or in the know, if you will. So in other words, Mother Earth is shifting her vibrational frequency, and perhaps so are we. And this may be one of the signs that we are awakening. Now, scientists report that the Earth's magnetic field, which can affect the Schumann resonance, has been slowly weakening for the past 2,000 years, and even more so in the past few years. Remember, we've actually had the magnetosphere collapse here, a couple months ago? But no one really knows why. But this gentleman was told by a wise old sage one time from India. Keep this way. The magnetic field of Earth was put in place by the ancient ones to block our primordial memories of our true heritage. This was so that souls could learn from the experience of free will, unhampered by memories of the past. He claimed that the magnetic field changes are now loosening those memory blocks, and we're raising our consciousness to greater truth. So in other words, the veil is lifting. The blinders are coming off. So if this is true, doesn't that raise even more intriguing questions? But hey, whatever's happening, it's clear that this acceleration is going to make you feel more tired, exhausted, dizzy, depressed, and even strange as you raise your own frequencies to be more, quote unquote, in tune with the new Earth. So the best advice is adaptation is not always an easy process, but keep in mind it's all part of us individually and collectively. It's our own unique awakening. Okay? So I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but let's see if we maintain these spikes of 30 plus. Because I'd have to say that, we're getting some serious downloads here. And I know y'all can feel this energy. Because I certainly am feeling it. Okay, I'm going to put us in Q&A for a minute. See if you want to talk about, or you have any other. One other thing. Whoa, I almost forgot. One other thing I did want to say. This is important, too. On Fox News this evening, after they aired Trump's interview with O'Reilly, they said that the Pope is they're going to be playing a pre-recorded message from the Pope, Pope Francis, Jorge Bergoglio, a.k.a. And something to do with that he hopes that that this game that's being played tonight can bring about unity around the world. Am I missing something here? How the heck is the Super Bowl going to unite people around the world? And this is, they said on Fox, they said, and I quote, this will be the first time that anything during the game. Well, my question would be, why are you having it now? And nobody want to hear from you, man. All right, Martha, you want to come in? Make any comments? I know I saw you on here earlier when I started talking. There you are. I don't know who that is. Okay. 530, your mic's open.
What's up? How you doing, Midwest? This is Ron. I haven't talked to you in a while. So how you doing?
Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Just glad to hear, I just listened to your great call today. You always put the great information down, you know what I mean? And I just want to comment on a couple, you talked about the Pope a little bit and, a lot of things going on. People don't realize there's a coup going on, you know what I'm saying? And it's scary. This is scary. This is not no joke. This is like, people with these books, they talk the Black Pope and all this stuff. This stuff is really getting like crazy right now. I mean, these people are all forming alliances. Like the Pope is with China now. Like it's weird. Like stuff that's supposed to be bad is like all the bad people are lining up. I'm noticing that. I'm like, what the heck? Like, and we all know that. I like Donald Trump and everything, but we know he's part of some kind of secret society too. But what's happened is like these societies are actually fighting each other. Like that's what's going on right now. So I don't know if a lot of people know that. A lot of that kind of stuff is like a lot of stuff is going on behind scenes and everything. It's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But it's just good to kind of know. I'm glad that God is really over the years, like with all the energies and everything coming in, like God has gave me wisdom because I'm like I ain't gonna lie. Like lately I've been reading up on King Solomon, and all he prayed for wisdom, and God gave him everything. It's like, do people read the Bible and understand it? Like even me, like lately, I'm like, why did I never really catch on to that? Like God will give you we're born with knowledge and everything, but God will really God puts you on the game because He really will give you knowledge and whatever you really need. You know what I mean? And that's what you taught the downloading. I understand what you mean by that now because God does do that.
Well, basically that's it. Yeah, and basically that's the Akashic records. Okay. And all of us have the ability to access those records, and it's called universal cosmic mind. How people can wake up from a dream and they've all of a sudden have downloads.
Right.
Okay. Because
I think you have to practice this stuff. I really think you have to practice, praying and, I would say meditation, all that, to really get the download, to really get it. You know what I mean?
Meditation, hon. Absolutely. And starting to become vegetarian, eating meat does not help in raising one's consciousness at all. It keeps you tied with the 3D densities. Okay? I know, guys, but, hopefully we're going to have replicators here soon where, you get you can have something that tastes like a steak, but it'll be made out of plant protein.
Right. Like the Jetsons kind of, like something like that, like that.
Hey,
something like that.
It's like Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek.
50 years ago.
Or I'm not gonna hold you up, but what's that? In the Charlie Factory, remember he gave him the little candies and it tastes like steak and potatoes and all that stuff all together in one, kind of like that, So
they already have the replicators, guys. They already have them.
Yep, they do. They got it all. But I'm not gonna hold you up. It's nice talking to you, Midwest. Thank you for all you do. I appreciate it.
Right,
and of course, I love you. So thank you.
All right, dear.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's right. All right.
Bye-bye. Okay, Martha, let me get you in there.
Okay. All right. I tried to get on before, but I don't know, for some reason it didn't go through. So many things that you said, I was like, yes, it's just amazing. And that's true what that gentleman said just before about the coup going on with the Pope. And I was talking to somebody earlier today, and they were saying, what was that? And you and I had talked about it. What was that with the army people behind Trump? They came behind him and surrounded him. And there's two things that are said on the internet. One is that they were giving out, which is not true, they were giving out umbrellas and they didn't want to get in front of the camera. Well,
that's not true at all.
That's not true at all. They had nothing in their hand at all.
No.
But another reason was that they were surrounding, because no other president ever had that. And Trump, if you didn't know what was happening, it would have been normal for him to turn around and say, what's going on here? But he knew perfectly what was going on, and that was a signal that this is a military silent coup and that he is surrounded by the military.
That's right.
And that's a given. And this Pope has done a coup, a silent coup, for the last Pope, Benedict. and he took him out of office, took him out of whatever, being a pope, and just threw him on the sidelines because he took over as the Jesuit. Yes, right. Benedict threw Benedict to the side, and he came on to be the pope, and it's part of the Jesuit thing for this New World Order, this globalist thing, and I really kind of figured a lot of it out this weekend. That he, of course, he's tied in, and yes, he has much to say about the world and about this Super Bowl, but he is so tied to Soros, and Soros is doing his bidding, and that's why he came over here, the Pope, to talk to the Congress and Senate, to the United Nations, and that's how John Bonner, who is a devout Catholic, he told him privately to step down from being Speaker of the House, and they managed to get in Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan is another patsy, and paid by George Soros. So everything that you see, everything is follow the money? No, follow the money to Soros and to the Vatican. It's all coming down now, and we have to be, in my opinion, we have the gentleman that talked before about praying, yes, and we have to also be aware, very much aware. The other day, Friday, I hadn't eaten anything, went to Wendy's, the only fast food place I think you can count on that maybe has halfway decent food. But the point is that I haven't seen CNN in at least over a year. I refuse to watch them. And remember that Trump has now shut them down. I mean, basically he will not, in his press conferences, he won't even listen to them, won't talk to them or anything. So what I saw was they had Jake Tapper, who was the person that had the show as the host, and he had these three women on, and it amazed me. They were so, their eyelids were down. They looked like they were all in a trance, like they were ready to go to sleep. And then I remembered from knowing NLP and mind control tactics that I've always wondered why people could give verbatim what the party line was on CNN about Hillary Clinton versus Trump. And I now came to realize what they are doing, and this is what I'm talking about by being aware, what they are doing is putting people in a trance by their words, by what they say. They keep saying the same things over and over, the same things that they just say, and by this lowering of the eyelids. Wolf Blitzer does that a lot too.
Hold on, Martha. Hold on a minute. You keep looking at these as being human beings such as us. I believe that they are AI, artificial intelligence. That's true. But what it's doing is it's entraining the human brain, which is part reptilian, to go into this trance state of alpha state, and that's where we get the information. That's a learning state. So it puts us out of beta and awareness into a trance. And they are casters. They are newscasters. They are sportscasters. They are spell casters. Right. That's why I don't watch TV.
Major spell casting. What?
Yep. That's why I don't watch TV. You want your mom to watch TV.
No, but I'm saying people have to be aware that this is what's going on and this is what they're doing. And that's
for a long time.
That's amazing. For a long time, exactly.
Long
Even the
time.
Super Bowl commercials are all about Baphomet.
Oh,
they
yes.
actually show people wearing the goat's head.
Yep.
There's a lot of things. Yes, I watch TV, but I look for what's going on. As you were talking, I was watching Lady Gaga's thing, and it's all very underhanded. What she's going against Donald Trump, but it's all it's all subliminal. Everything is subliminal. Alfa Romeo, and they now have a car that is worthy of riding the dragon, and they show the dragon.
Oh, God.
But they're also pandering to China. They
know
that it's going over to China. All the energy is going from the U.S. into China. And that's why Amazon is starting to have stores, because Alibaba out of China is going to be having stores. They're going to be competing over the next 10 years with Amazon.
Well, okay, but Martha,
dynamics by 10 years. I doubt it.
Let me say this. At some point, folks, we got to drop the borders, and we've got to start becoming a global society.
Right.
And this is what the Chinese elders are pushing us towards that direction. And we will become a cashless society, as humanity once was before. Everybody's going screaming and kicking because we have been done so dirty and so wrong by this cabal. But I can tell you right now, the whole energy is going to shift on this planet if this actually comes to fruition with they start to arrest these Pizzagate people.
Right.
You're going to start seeing tremendous energy changes here. And another thing, when we speak of China, there's two entities in China. You have the elders, dragon groups, and then you have the Chinese Communist government.
Right.
Chinese Communist government is broke too. They're receiving funding from the elders. So they're on a short leash too. Once you're watching all of this stuff play out on the world stage, as I said earlier in some of the stuff that I was reading about, stop taking it so personal and just sit back and just like you went to a movie theater to watch a movie. Because a lot of this stuff is not really what you're seeing. It's been orchestrated to appear one way when it's really not. And I hate to be the ones up here writing this play right now because people are, the herd, the sheep, are so, what's the word I want to use? They're so flaky, okay? And everybody's got their own agenda out here, and they've been so dumbed down and brainwashed that they don't know truth, because truth is something that left a long time ago, way back in ancient Kemet. They've been hiding all that too, claiming it as theirs when it wasn't. It's all plagiarized, all this ancient knowledge, which actually now they've got archaeological evidence coming out that shows that the civilizations of South America and Egypt was Atlantean knowledge and technology. And they got the proof now. That's not a popular topic that archaeologists want out to the public because, they've tried to tell us that Atlantis was a fairy tale. It wasn't. It was real. Okay? And we see the remnants of a great civilization that went on to flourish because they knew 200 years in advance that because they were that in tune with as above, so below, as within, so without. And so they knew 200 years in advance that these catastrophic things were coming. But we lost all that. We took a fall. And the Atlanteans were actually 4D, 5D. And we went down into 3D. This is when we flipped from the matriarchal over to the patriarchal. And it's been a downward spiral ever since, allowing the men to run this world. Look at the atrocities going on over there in the Muslim countries to women. If a woman's raped over there, unless she has 3 men that witness and speak on her behalf for a character reference, and she can be killed, beheaded, stoned to death, whatever. Okay? And she's raped, but she takes the punishment, not the man, her. I just saw a picture where this Muslim kicked this woman in the face. Boy, you messed her up. All because she was wearing shorts. And he said, my religion tells me I have to do this to you. Okay? And I hear that they're leaving in droves because they can see now they're not going to get their Sharia law. Do you not understand, folks, the agenda that was here? Just if you don't, do yourself a favor and go to YouTube and start looking at all of the stuff going on over there in Europe, in the various countries. Now, it was very disturbing also that I saw in New York City a little short clip today where you have, it looked like thousands of Muslims all kneeling down on their prayer rugs and praying right out there in the middle of busy New York City streets. And they were all talking about down with America. So Trump has got it right. And I'm certainly not here to say that all Muslims are bad. It's like, they could say Christians are bad, and not all Christians are bad either. It's religion in general, folks. But you have to understand that they did a poll. I forget how many Islamic people that they polled in this. But they asked, did they want a caliphate that would bring in, this global movement towards Islam? And over 70% of the people who even claim to be peaceful in the Islamic faith all said that they want a caliphate that would take over the world. So this is real, folks. And I say that humanity is not going to be living in peace, in harmony, and happiness until we eradicate religion. Okay? And we go back to our true roots, which is spirituality. And there is a real big difference. A really big one. And you see, that's what our founding fathers signed in that Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. And that was the freedom to exercise your religious right however you saw, so long as it doesn't hurt someone else. Look what Islam has done. Look at what the Catholic faith, Christianity, has done. And the Vatican has yet to ever officially apologize for the millions of people that, just the Inquisition comes to mind, but they have literally killed millions of people all over, the genocides that they have performed. I mean, that's an evil organization, folks. You already know where I stand on the Catholic Church. But what you need to understand, too, is that all Christianity, Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran, doesn't matter. They all get their 501c3 charters from the Vatican. All 501c3s come from the Vatican. Supposedly, that's why that's why Pope Francis was over here last year, was because he was doing away with the 501c3s, the corporations, and he filed some kind of an edict to that effect. I should find that sometime, maybe next week, and read it to you all, what he signed. It is not business as usual. And if I thought it was, I would tell you that. But I don't believe that it is. The only thing that I don't like is the fact we're going back to a gold standard. But I guess we have to go back to something to get away from the fiat currency. But here again, we're still placing an intrinsic value on human life and sovereignty with a little trinket over here, be it gold, silver, diamonds. It could be seashells. At one time, certain tribes used seashells to trade with. Okay? So, I just say, everybody, let's not jump off the deep end and think the worst of everything that's going on. Yes, we're in a battle right now, absolutely. We don't fight against flesh and blood, but principalities of good and evil. Absolutely. But that's why us light workers are here right now, holding that light. And we cannot allow ourselves to go into the fear mode. Be wise like the fox. Be fast like the jackal. But do not be in fear. Because when they have you in fear, you've given your power away to them. And that's what they're trying to do. So, and fear and the light, oil and water, they don't mix. So we have to continue to hold the light. And we can't let our mind entertain seriously negative thoughts. Just because things haven't transpired in our time frame that we think that it should have, we really don't know what's going on behind the scenes here. And that's why I'm saying, I'm praying tonight. I'm begging for the universe, for Father, whatever you call your Creator, my Creator. Ask Him that these arrests really do begin in earnest tomorrow, just a couple of days. Because this will be the dam breaking. And I believe that. Because then we can really see that the criminal doesn't always get away. Because up to this point, that's how everybody feels out there. Alrighty. I just felt I needed to say that, guys, because we cannot go into fear. We just cannot.
But Midwest, I don't think I was going into fear when I was talking about Alibaba and Amazon in 10 years and the fiat cars, simply saying that these companies are, revving this up now, setting the stage for 10 years from now. What I started to say is there'll be a whole different paradigm. Why worry about 10 years from now? I was simply saying people should be aware, if they're watching TV, aware of what's going on, aware of what they're seeing on the side of a bus. We have to be aware, and I do agree with you, and I have felt this for many years. We are going to a oneness and a globalism, but we have to do it in baby steps. Right now we're not ready for a cashless society. Right now we're not ready for the things that are going to be coming for the good of mankind. We're going into we're going from the Kali Yuga, the Dark Age, to the Satya Yuga, the Golden Age, and we're right at the cusp of it. But we've got to be aware that we're at the cusp. We're not really there yet, and people have to.
I think they'd say we are, Martha. We've already crossed over the equator.
Well, yeah, but
here a few months ago.
Yes, but because of that, people have to start to grow up and really become aware. And I think this Pizzagate is going to really burst the bubble completely.
Yep.
And I can't wait. I really can't wait. I just pray it's not a bunch of bull and it's really going to happen because the time has come.
Man, that would be the place we've all been looking for. Yes.
Right. It's
That'd
generational. Right.
Mm-hmm. And it's certainly going to shake the psyche of a lot of American households, probably globally.
Sure.
Because just as they'll make arrests here, I'm quite certain they're talking about there's arrests going to be made in other countries too. Because keep in mind that the Clinton Foundation was global.
That's right.
Okay. Why do you think that they received such large donations? Some of these donations were to buy, through human trafficking, children and sex slaves and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And ironically, a few months ago when Pizzagate first came out with Podesta's emails, the Pope came out saying very terrible things about the people that report this.
Yes.
And he used words like that meant excrement, and those that eat it, and those that, it was just horrible. And I remember writing something on a YouTube, making a comment saying, me think if he protests too much, it's getting too close to home, and he's trying to make it go away.
Mm-hmm. Well, we all know that there's nothing but pedophiles over there in the Vatican. So
absolutely. But
he
has shut that down. But once he came on board, he shut that down. He not shut it down, but he shut down talking about it, and he's just kind of squelched it. Not that it's not happening anymore, but
it's still happening. Exactly. It's just not. Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying the publicity around it, he has kept quiet. You don't hear anything about,
gag order.
Somebody having this happen in a church.
Yeah, he put a gag order on everybody.
You're right.
And I'm quite sure that we know a lot of people have went bump in the night over there too.
Exactly. He's staying at the hotel and not at the Vatican, in the Vatican where the Pope's residence is, because I thought that from the beginning that he doesn't want any bugs. They can easily bug him in the Vatican. If he goes to a residence into a hotel, he can have that monitored better.
Yeah.
He's a bad dude.
Well, I'm gonna mute you for a minute, and I have a bit of a throat issue tonight. And, I got soaking wet a few days ago, getting hay for my horse, and then I had poured too much bleach on the floor, and I kind of breathed that in. Me and bleach don't get along well. No. So I've been trying to fight this throat infection all day long, and I haven't been talking to nobody to save my voice for tonight. But I can feel that it's starting to hurt. So I want to, at least because I wanted to talk about Metatron's cube. Probably won't do the whole presentation. We'll pick up where we left off tonight and do the rest of the presentation along with some more stuff that we're going to talk about. But Metatron's cube and the number 13, and see, we've always been taught that 13 is a bad number. I wonder why they do that. I can tell you why. It's because we have 12 nerve systems in our body. There were 12 disciples. We have 12 months in the year, but in reality, they're all 13 because we have what's called da'af, which is the ether, the part of life that manifests from the ether into this three-dimensional world and becomes matter. Okay? So that's a brief, very simple explanation here. But Metatron's cube, it's a sacred geometrical symbol that forms the map of creation. And it's a map that the mystics, the sages, ancient civilizations have reverenced throughout the ages, epochs of time. Over 13 billion years ago, during what we would reference to be on Earth as the Big Bang, God, infinite intelligence, gave birth to our universe. And it's this symbol of Metatron's cube that explains this birth and the infinite expanding field of creation in all directions from time and space. And by the way, I may add, too, that scientists are now hypothecating that our universe, our galaxy, our sun is still expanding, okay? And so we have source energy through this field of Metatron's cube that creates the potential field of creation. And that's a field of high vibrational frequencies that ripple out through creation, eventually creating color and sound. And finally, at their lowest levels of vibration, they create physical matter, us, and what we perceive and look at every day, touch, feel, okay? Even when I studied Nichiren Daishonin's Buddhism, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, I talked about law of cause and effect through sound. That's what Nam-myoho Renge-kyo means, the law of cause and effect through sound. That particular thought or philosophy is above what I would call a religion. It is a philosophy on how to live one's life. It's a very, very in-depth study. It's amazing. It really is. Anyway, the field of source energy, which is represented by Metatron's cube, it permeates through every level, through every aspect of creation. Okay? And as the original spark of love of source, and it expanded in all directions of time and space. So God is these energy waves. And the God that we want to call God is the color, it's the sound, it's the physical matter, and it's the entire field of love. Live one vibrational energy. So when we have God's light expanding infinitely through Metatron's cube by one or more of the elements of creation. Now, these elements of creation are earth, fire, air, water, coming together through spirit or ether. And the galaxies, solar systems, planets, humans, plants, animals, DNA, even all the way down to the atomic and subatomic particles. There's energy space in between these particles, but it's in all matter, and that's what makes up one or more of these elements. So Metatron's cube is composed of 13 spheres held together by lines from the midpoint of each sphere. Now, I posted some of this stuff over on my Facebook page tonight before the show. So if you want to go back and revisit some of that, okay, you can. The Metatron's cube represents the feminine, while the straight lines represent the masculine. So the Metatron's cube represents the weaving together of the male and female polarities to create the oneness field of the infinite all. Everything has a male and female, even magnets, even our electricity. You got a positive pole, you got a negative pole. That's cosmic law. It's just the way it is. And these things don't change. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so these Metatron's cube is composed of 13 spheres held together by these lines from the midpoint of each sphere. And if this is not making any sense to you, go back and look at some of the diagrams of Metatron's cube It's also called the Sephra, which is Kabbalah. To be called the flower of life, the tree of life. When you look at a placenta, when it comes out of the woman after she gives birth, look at the veins, look at all the different stuff on that placenta, and it looks like the tree of life. And what did that placenta do? It fed the new life inside the womb until it could be birthed. And we all came through that womb. Well, most of us on the planet. I don't think so much did. They're just posing. Anyway, just a little joke. Probably not though. The spheres of the Metatron's cube also follows an outline of how these 13 spheres present throughout every aspect of our lives. It's body, mind, and spirit. Our body is earth, air, fire, water, and ether. Ether is the spark that comes from the Creator, from the great central sun Creator, that causes us to breathe. Because without that spark, which is soul, spirit, we don't exist. You ever notice how the body is animated and warm? The minute the spirit leaves the skull and it sticks, it's gone. Up. And it becomes an organic matter again. Spirit moves everything. Now, the 13 archangels of creation are represented by the 13 archangels that stand before God. And each archangel is a sacred keeper of an element of creation, and hence takes God's love and expands the field of creation infinitely in all directions of time and space. So these three archangels, or the 13 spheres of Metatron's cube, are present through all levels of creation, from the highest vibration frequency pulses at the central core of God's source through to the densest of physical matter. And this is, let me take you back to that we're now, sometimes we're spiking up at 30 and 35, okay, in these vibrational frequencies. And I believe that that's divine, what's coming in right now. We're getting ready to get an upgrade as humanity. Okay? And so they are present everywhere, in each and every moment. They permeate throughout all of creation. So thus these archangels are also present within you. They are you. They create you. And as these archangels are within you for healing within our lives, we have the potential to invoke these archangels through us, through our 13 energy centers, in order to bring balance to a particular element or elements, and hence transcend dis-ease, and co-create health, vitality, and well-being. We have 13 energy centers, and they comprise our experience of life within our galaxy. So throughout our galaxy, and all galaxies for that matter, there are 13 energy centers of experience that are made manifest through Metatron's cube. And in coming into our galaxy, our soul bursts through the cosmic gateway, and that's the 13th energy center, core of our galaxy. And then bursts through the universal gateway, the 12th energy center, Sirius. And then through the stellar gateway, the 11th energy center, the Pleiades, in order to birth as a 5D vibrational orb of light, referenced to as the soul star, the 10th energy center. And the soul star energy center is your higher self, your I am that I am presence. At your soul star level, you are a spark, a fractal of source energy. Thus, you are all of the 5 elements, earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, ether. And they all come together as one to create and manifest physically into this world. But at the physical level, all the elements are separated in order for your soul to have a physical experience here on earth. In order for the soul to be able to smell, taste, touch, hear, see, and experience physical reality. So thus your soul star projects our holographic image, or a auric field, that creates your physical body through the separation of these elements, and it's creating your primary chakras, energy centers 9 to 3. Now, I know we've been talking, we have 7 within the body and then the crown chakra, but there's actually 2 above that, and there's actually 13 chakras. There's way more than even that, but we won't get into that tonight. But your auric field refers to as your crystalline matrix field is then anchored to Earth via the second energy center, which is your Earth star. And your Earth star is then anchored to Earth at the first energy center within the core of your heart of the Earth, called the Earth Gateway. And what is it when a baby is developing? What's the first thing that starts to develop on a baby? The heart. That's why. So the Earth Gate is the mirror reflection of the cosmic gateway, as above, so below. We have the potential to consciously connect with each of these 13 energy centers of experience within our galaxy in order to embrace our full soul potential and be the change we want to see within the world. And Metatron's cube, these 13 spheres, also represents the 13 sacred keys of creation, the sacred and defined universal laws of the intelligent field that hold the principles of evolution and the pathways to enlightenment. So, check that out. Metatron's cube, tree of life, the flower of life. Check all of them out. And that's who we are. And our temple. God dwells within us. He does not dwell in temples made with man's hands. He dwells within us. And there are multiple scriptures in the Bible that tell you that. Multiple. Start doing your research, everyone. Get my kitty off the table here. All righty. And that's about, my throat's really starting to hurt, so I'm going to get back here. All right, Martha, you want to go ahead and, unless anyone else wants to come in and comment on anything and talk, I don't know. Actually, I didn't hear. The gentleman that was with us last Sunday and we had phone problems, he was supposed to be coming, Dr. Prince was supposed to be coming back on tonight, but I did not see his number. So, yeah, I don't see. I see we got a 662 here, though. Did I misread that? No. Yeah, 662. Who would that 662 be? That's from my neck of the woods. And I don't mean to call on you and embarrass you. But if you'd like to say hi, I always like to know when I have someone listening from here in Mississippi. Can you come in and say hi? Hello? Okay. I didn't mean to call on you like that. Okay.
Midwest?
Yes.
Maybe you need to tell them to press star 1 or star 6 and then 1.
They don't have to do that when I unmute them.
Oh, okay.
That's only if they want to come in on the Q&A line.